I'm Julie Morgan and I represent Cardiff North. Well, I was a councillor in Cardiff. That's some time ago, but that was a great job. I loved it. Then I became the MP for Cardiff North, and I was the MP for Cardiff North for 13 years. And then I became a Senedd member, and I've been here for 14 years. I thought it was very important that women who had some experience of politics, like I did as a councillor, should put themselves forward at that time to be an MP, because I thought, well, if I don't do it, who is going to do it? Because a very small group of women on the council, and it just seemed really important that all the things I was interested in, and I know many women are interested in, you need somebody there to speak up for those issues. So I stood as an MP and went up to Westminster, one of only 4 women out of 40 to go, so very much in the minority. And things have improved since then, but it was a good time to go because about 100 women were elected, first time there'd ever been a substantial number of women. So those are the reasons I stood as an MP at that time, to try to get a woman's voice in. And also I was very keen on devolution, and so I wanted to be there to try and get devolution through, which of course we did. Well, to try to get women to have a good opportunity to put forward their policies, because if the policies are all made by predominantly white men, predominantly middle-aged white men, they just won't reflect the communities that we represent and the communities that we have in Wales. So it seemed very important to me that right from the beginning, the Senedd should be a place that had equal representation. And of course we did achieve that on one occasion, one election, and that was largely as a result of the campaigns that we in the Labour Party ran in order to get 50-50 representation from Labour seats. So we had a twinning campaign, which was very exciting and good fun, lot of resistance, and we sort of chanted outside buildings, "We shall twin to win," and thoroughly, really had quite a strong campaign, and we won the vote at the Labour conference, and we then went about twinning. And that's meant that the Senedd has been an entirely different place, because Labour, who've been in government here right since the beginning, have always had a majority of women in the Senedd. So Labour has been able to make sure there's a good number of women in the Senedd, and of course the other parties are very keen to do that as well. Well, I think it's really important to work closely with people that you can you can trust and you can say anything to. But I think the friendships that you build up within politics, often other women who believe in what you want and what you're doing, that you can achieve so much more if you do it, together. And so, I think in Westminster, there was a very strong women's group. And here we've been able to work on women's issues together, promoting different campaigns. So I think it's working together really, and looking to people for support, and people who are in the same position, people who are also trying to stand for election or going through some of the hurly-burly things that you have to go through in politics, that you can do it so much better if you're together. Well, I suppose it's how do you perform, and I mean, all that's a bit nerve-wracking in, making a speech to a constituency and competing. And I think all women, many women have this sort of feeling, am I good enough? Feeling of the imposter syndrome. I think that's very, very common. And I thought, I felt that very strongly. I mean, when I went up to Westminster, I thought, this can't be me walking into this chamber. It's not me. That sort of strong feeling. And I've always had that all my life, this sort of feeling that, is it really me doing this? And so I think it's overcoming those sort of feelings. And I think to overcome them, you just have to have the conviction about what you want to achieve. Well, coming here after Westminster, I was so pleased and surprised at how friendly and supportive it was, because in Westminster there's such a lot of tradition and quite a lot of hoops to go through all the time, and it seemed much more easy here, more relaxed, more friendly, and everybody seemed to want to help in a way that didn't seem like that when I went to Westminster. So it's a good place to come to, and I was just surprised how friendly and in some ways informal it was. So it's very good place to work. Well, I suppose it's not getting things done as quickly as you would like to get things done. I had lots of things I wanted to achieve, and it's taken a long time to get there with some of them, and never with some of them. So I think I think the most important thing is to have patience and know that it'll take a long time to achieve some of the things that you want to achieve. You know, some of the things I've wanted to get, it's taken 20 years to get them, nearly the whole of the time I've been in politics. But it's worth, keeping on at it, because I think the great thing about politics is that you can do things and you can change things. And that's why it's so important to have lots of women represented in politics, because you can do things, and it couldn't be a better job, really. Well, I think getting the laws through that I wanted to get through, I think those have been very important. I've had a 20-year campaign to stop the physical punishment of children and removing the defence of reasonable punishment. And that has now happened in the Senedd. I didn't get it through in Westminster, but I was able to take it through here. And that is now the law. So that's something I feel quite passionately about. I could never accept the fact that you could, adults had a protection against being hit, but children didn't. So I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of, and it's taken the longest time to achieve. Well, I think the thing is that really that you should count every minute you've got and do something every minute that you've got. Because I think sometimes I've taken some time to settle in and feel comfortable before I do things. And I think it's probably important not to worry about what anybody thinks about you, and just get going and get into it and do it, even if you make a fool of yourself. Oh, what does it matter, And I think I've been quite hesitant in getting the confidence to actually try to do things whenever I've been elected. Yeah. Well, at one point we had 50-50, and that was a high spot, absolute high spot, and it's gone down since then. So I do think we need to get at least 50 women here, because the policies we are carrying out are so important, and they're so important to women, but policies that benefit women benefit everybody. So I think it's to make sure that those voices are heard, and that in order to relate to the public and to relate to the different communities, we need people to see themselves reflected here. So I think that we need as many women as we can here, and I hope they'll come. Well, everything is political. There's very little, I think, that you do that isn't political. If you just think that if you've got children at school, the education that they have, the roads that you have to walk down, where the crossings are, where there are seats placed, all these sort of decisions that are very close to home are real political decisions. And I remember one Senedd member telling me how we're campaigning for 2 benches let her into politics, because there was so much that is so local and so important that link to wider policies about encouraging people to go out because they've got somewhere to sit, that policies for older people, for mothers and children, so they've got somewhere to sit, those sort of things, I think are crucial. I would say go for it, because you couldn't have a better job. You meet so many interesting people, you go to such a variety of settings, and it's very lively and stretching, and absolutely great job to do.